Welcome to the hunt.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to HuntCast Podcast. Greg and Doug here. April the 14th. We're moving right along. Episode 8. We thank you guys for tuning in. And today's going to be a little off-the-cuff episode, we'll call it. Nothing really pre-planned. We got lots of going on with the shoot coming up. So we'll start with yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a fun day.
It was a fun day.
Weather could have been a little bit better, but it was doable.
Yes. It was actually better than we had planned.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I planned on being completely soaked.
Yeah.
You know, because it was supposed to be like 38 degrees and raining
all day.
And 30-mile-an-hour winds. So,
yeah. Well, the 30-mile-an-hour wind stuck around.
Yes, they did.
But so yesterday we spent the day up at Stonehedge Golf Club, golf course in Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. The gentleman up there that run the grounds crew put on a little 3D shoot.
Yeah.
It was a really good 3D shoot, actually. So we sponsored, part of the shop sponsored the targets for the shoot, and we had a chance to shoot in it. So it was a little different. Played a little golf with the bow.
Yeah.
And took probably everybody a couple targets to kind of get used to the scoring, because we scored like golf, not like regular 3D.
Right.
And so we were in foursomes, no golf carts, which I really wish we would have had golf carts, because the walk wasn't horrible, but it wasn't horrible. It was just bad.
Yeah.
You know, but we played the back nine, or most of the back nine anyway.
Yeah.
And you were in a group separate from Aaron and I, so
I was, yeah.
You saw it a little different than we did, so.
Yep.
But the way they set it up, it was basically, how many holes do you think we were actually on?
Probably, there were 18 targets, and there were only, I believe,
like maybe 4 or 5 holes, right?
Duplicates, yeah. So maybe there was, 5, maybe 5 holes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was set up pretty cool. They had their own stakes set up, and they actually placed the targets. So Doug and I went out beforehand just to check things and make sure everything looked good, and you weren't going to be walking behind somebody.
Right. You're not going to get killed.
Right. Yeah. But everything looked good. A couple of the placements were actually really good placements and surprised us.
Yeah. John did a really good job.
Yeah, definitely. So Aaron and I started on hole number 8. Yeah. You started on number 6?
4.
Yeah. So, of course, the very first shot we had, there was a pine tree right in front of it, and the wind right in that little section of the course was where it was the worst. Like, as you got further back in, it wasn't as bad. There was still wind, but this one tree branch was like literally just swaying in front of the target. It was like draw and wait and let down, and draw and wait and let down. So it was definitely one that made you focus a little bit.
Yeah.
And you started on that downhill shot, right?
I did.
Yeah.
That was side hill. So, your left foot was
way down.
Yeah. Well, no, it's up, right? No, you're right. Your left leg was 18 inches lower than your right foot.
Yeah.
So that was the one that started off.
Yeah.
Now yours was that was the double shot, right?
So we
2 targets there.
We started on the right one. We didn't shoot 7 first, which we probably should have, because we would have had a long as walk back. But
you had to come back to it.
We had to go all the way back to 7.
Well, that's a little silly.
Yeah. So,
jeez.
But yeah. So no, it was pretty flat standing ground, but that tree just wreaked havoc on you.
Yes. Which is cool though. I mean, it's
yeah. For sure.
Because it would have been a gimme shot without the tree there, right?
So absolutely. It was like 28 yards.
Yeah.
But the funny part was I had a bow set up for myself that I was going to use for this hunting season, and somebody bought it last Saturday. So I borrowed a bow from Doug. Doug and I have about the same draw length and whatnot. I'm just not used to shooting multiple pin sights.
Right. So
that threw me off a little bit. And
well, listen, to hand somebody a bow and expect them to shoot 70 yards.
Well, that was the tricky part. So the floating pit at the bottom is the one that wreaked havoc on me all day.
Yeah.
Because basically any shot past 50, I couldn't figure out where I had to hold it.
Yeah.
But there was only a few of those, but the ones that's where I needed to kind of get some points back, and I 5'd all of them. So except no, I'm sorry, I didn't 5 the. I missed the billy goat. I missed the hyena. I bounced off the grizzly bear's head. I missed the armadillo. There was another one that was like in that 50 vicinity. I did stick one. I stuck them low, but I hit them at least.
50.
I don't remember which one it was now.
There was one, like shot number 2 or 3 was a pretty good shot. Was that the billy goat?
2 was the billy goat.
Okay.
And that one was horrible because it was in the wide open.
Oh, the wind was horrendous.
And oh my
the
God,
wind
it
was
was
horrendous.
like a tornado blowing through as you drew back.
Yes.
But yeah, so I missed that one short.
Okay.
I missed the hyena short. I missed the armadillo short.
That was in a sand trap, though, so at least you got your arrow. Easy.
Yeah. So I only broke one arrow.
Okay.
Even though I missed 5 times or 4 times. But the hyena ate one of my X10 parallel pros. I don't know what I hit, but I hit something and it snapped the carbon off the aluminum.
Okay.
And my outsert was bent. So
yeah,
but it is what it is.
Garbage.
But for shooting someone else's bow, I shot a 65.
Yep.
Or 62. So it was golf score. So keep that in mind. So like a bullseye 11 ring was a 1.
Right.
And then 2, 3, 4 in a miss was a 5 or a 4 depending on the target. So I wasn't too upset with it because it wasn't my bow. I literally built arrows for it Friday.
Right.
But it was just a fun time. You know, a lot of ball busting going on in the group.
Yeah.
Our group was especially fun. 2 of the guys that were in our group come down to the shop a lot. And then Aaron, who's one of our shooters, was with me, and he ended up winning it.
Yeah.
With a 39? 39.
39, yes.
So he was shooting his target bow with fat 23s.
Yep.
And there was a couple, you watched his arrow blow left to right or right to left.
Yeah.
And it was like perfect elevation, just missed the ring. So,
yes.
But yeah, so no, he shot really well yesterday.
Yes.
And he wasn't even going to go. Doug had to like text him and bust his chops
exactly.
to go.
Yeah, he owes me some commission, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he shot the 50-50 at the end. Did you speak to him after that?
I did not.
He did. He shot 50-50.
Did he?
Yes. And he shot it out of that blind, the top of the hill. And he said the wind was just
unbearable.
Horrendous. And I think he said he hit about 2 feet to the
really?
left. Yes. Yeah.
So in other words, he shot a bear in the ass.
Yes.
Because that was the target they were using.
Yeah, the wind was just horrendous. You know, he's beautiful in the blind. And as soon as the arrow got outside, it was just all over the place.
Yep.
It wasn't even close. So.
Huh.
But that just goes to show you.
Yep.
You know, the best shooter on the course all day missed by 2 feet on the last shot. So
and that was the whole. I was kind of glad that I had to borrow Doug's bow because I built those X10 parallel pros. They're a heavier arrow. They're skinny.
Yeah.
And just the weight of it alone, because of the aluminum inside with the carbon outside, it drove through the wind pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any shots where it was like, oh, the wind got it.
Right.
Oh, I know what the other target was. I stuck them low was the ram that was up the hill.
Oh, yeah.
I clipped the tree.
Oh, yeah.
On my way into it and bounced it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't a shot that I was like, oh, the wind grabbed it.
Right.
But yeah, so Aaron, I definitely watched his arrows move around. But the guys that shot with us, even Steve, the guy that came in second, was in our group. And he definitely had a couple that were like, how did it go there? Like,
right.
He was holding, you could tell where he was holding, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, did you drop your bow arm? You know, what happened?
Right.
But it was a good time, and we're hoping to continue supporting that event.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll grow as it goes.
Definitely.
So fun time.
Yeah.
Like I said, hopefully next year it's the weather in northeastern Pennsylvania. So like right now we're looking out the window of the studio and it's 63 degrees outside and a little bit of a breeze.
Yeah. Sun is out.
Sun's out. Yeah. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, it's, just this time of year, it could be anything at that point.
Well, last week we had 73, 74 degrees last week, and we had some snow flurries yesterday morning.
Right.
So,
right.
Early in the morning there was mixed snow and rain. So,
yeah.
But that's as nice as Stonehedge is, and it's a great spot, for the 3D shoot. But you're kind of limited with your time frame.
Yep.
Because it is a golf course.
Mm-hmm.
When the weather is nice, the golfers are running the place. So,
right.
You're kind of limited to when you can have the shoot. So this is probably about it because, once we get to mid-April, those golfers are not going to give up the course. Yeah. This is it. So, end of March, early April, and then after that, it's golf. So.
Right. And there was actually a guy when we were walking down to the first tee. Yeah. There was a guy like practicing chipping.
Yes.
On the practice green.
Yeah, he was actually he was a buddy with one of the guys I was with.
Oh, okay.
And,
okay.
Because we were standing there waiting for the shotgun start. So we had about 15 minutes just to stand there and talk and stuff.
Yep.
And he actually, which I'm kind of surprised he wasn't shooting, because he's a bow hunter.
I did hear, he did mention that to John, because I was kind of next to John when we were walking down, and he said, I was gonna, but I kind of tweaked my shoulder a few weeks ago, so I figured I better not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so big shout out to John and all the folks up at Stonehedge. You did a great job.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to working with you guys again next year. And John did offer to help if we need help at Archery Fest.
And I think we'll take him up on that.
Yes, we may be calling him.
Careful what you ask.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other big news this weekend, IBO Spring Nationals out in Indiana. I've been seeing some pictures on the face page about it. I don't know who won because finals are today, but it was at a farm. That I can't think of the name of the farm now, but I did see a couple pictures, and I guess it was a little muddy Friday. There were some people that looked like they might have had an accident in their pants. So a little slippery conditions, but it looked like yesterday. I saw some pictures last night, and it was a little bit clearer. Sun was out.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know the difference between IBO and ASA, so IBO is the International Bowhunters Association, or organization, excuse me. And all of the classes in IBO are unknown distance. So it's a complete judging deal, which I prefer, because you can be an okay shooter and an okay judger and shoot okay. But if you're a better shooter but can't judge, it kind of evens the field.
Yeah, that's like the great equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and vice versa. If you can judge but can't shoot, well, that's great. You're still going to hit the foam, but whether it goes where you want it to is the other problem.
And if you can do both, then you win a lot of money.
Yep, that's absolutely. So a lot of the pros still involved in that. And then ASA is you have the option, except for, I believe it's pro men's, you only have, no, there is a known pro now.
Yeah.
So you have the option to shoot either known or unknown in ASA. And ASA stands for Archery Shooters Association. So that's mainly a Midwest type deal, down south, Kentucky and Alabama, Louisiana, stuff like that. And they start in February, and usually it's pretty warm already down there. So you get out and start popping some foam. But yeah, so we'll stay tuned. We'll give you the update on who won Spring Nationals next week.
Yeah.
But then it's funny because we had to move the dates of our shoot this year. It actually falls on the first leg of the Triple Crown, which is in Pipestem, West Virginia for IBO. And then the second leg is Franklin, which I'll be shooting at out in Western PA. So IBO is kind of centralized, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia.
Right.
And then, there's still a lot of people up this way that travel for ASA, but some people like IBO, some people don't, because they don't like judging distance. So.
Yeah.
And I can attest to it because I've misjudged targets and cost myself third place finish at Worlds a couple years ago. So yeah. But
so you can talk about why you'll be out in Franklin.
Yes, I guess I can talk about that. So as many of you may have seen, if you follow the High Times page, we now carry elite bows, and that kind of all progressed after, on the unfortunate happenings with Athens, with them closing up shop. So when we brought in Elite, I used to work with Elite a long time ago, 8-9 years ago, as an outside sales rep, and a couple people remembered me. Made me feel kind of special. Not really, but no, they're all great guys, and they were great guys to work with. So it just so happened that they had some room on their pro team. So as of April 1st, I signed a factory pro shooters contract with Elite. So my CB stuff showed up on Friday. So I'll be shooting Elite bows, custom bow equipment, sights, and stabilizers.
Yeah.
And Scott Release and Ultra Arrows. So Franklin will be my first official competition with my new Elite verdict, which is on the way.
Nice.
Yep. I'm excited. Laguna Teal.
Okay.
28.5-inch draw, 65 pounds. And then I just have to figure out what color strings I can put on it to make it stand out real good. So for those of you that know me, know that my bows, I'll do the dumbest stuff. I'll put pink strings on a camo bow and stuff like that. So I got to see what this Laguna Teal looks like, because I've seen the picture. It looks brighter, but I've seen bows like at Lancaster that were, it seems like a little darker of a color. So we'll see when it gets here. Yeah. I'm excited. And Jones, and I was hoping it was going to be here so I could shoot it yesterday, but it wasn't. So But I'll be shooting the Apex Pro from Scott, the Axis sight, and the VTS scope with a 6X lens from CBE, and some 27 Centrums from Ultra.
Okay.
So, yeah, super excited.
Yeah, looking forward to that setup. Yeah.
And we'll play with some videos once it's here. We'll give you the rundown on it. But yeah, so what do we got? Archery Fest coming up.
Yeah.
We're like
coming up.
It was 39 days as of Monday. 38, 37, 36, 35. So yeah, we were something like 30-something day, 31, 32 days away.
Yeah, yep. 32 days. Yeah.
So it's getting real. We didn't get out this weekend to flag the last course because we were at Stonehedge yesterday and a lot going on. My wife and my sister and my mother are actually right now labeling our pop-up tents with the High Times logos.
Yeah.
Because they got mad at me because they weren't on there last year. So, okay.
Yeah.
But,
it's just a lot that goes, there's a lot more that goes into this thing than just what happens on the mountain.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of, Doug and I spent a lot of time both, looking at maps and figuring out where we can put targets, just pre-planning, talking to manufacturers for vendors, talking to manufacturers for prizes, reaching out to other people for prizes.
Yeah.
So.
It's months. It's literally months.
Basically starts January. Yep.
Yeah, for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Christmas.
Yeah.
all
year long.
Yeah, all that nonsense, and then in 2 hours, Christmas morning, it's all over.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same deal, but
we get a couple more hours than 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't change it though. Right?
No,
I mean
it's super fun. Seeing everybody shooting out there is awesome.
Yep.
And, hopefully the bears stay away from our targets this year. We're going to spray some pine sol on them this year.
Pine sol, yeah.
And knock on wood, we don't see any more snakes. We saw one last year.
Yeah, just that one rattlesnake. That was it.
Yep. So but with all of that going on, we have a bunch that changed this year. So we have a lot more prizes than we had last year.
Yeah.
So the big one is obviously our biggest prize value is the GMC truck, which is a standalone shoot by itself, and we don't know the pricing, what we're going to do with shot yet, but we'll figure that out. It'll be posted.
Yeah.
So that's like the big one. And then we have a $500 pair of Zamberland boots.
Yep.
Which
that's a nice prize too.
If you watched for Doug and I and a couple of the volunteer crews, we'll all be wearing Zamberlands.
Yeah.
They're super comfortable. We have XLP. We have tree stand.
Yep.
We have saddle kit. We have a set of sticks, 2 sets of sticks.
Okay.
So that'll probably be like a package deal where you'll get the saddle and a stick or the tree stand and a stick.
Right.
We have Rocky Talkies again.
Yep.
Donated 2 more radios. And I don't think people realize the difference when we worked with Rocky Talkies last year.
Yeah.
And so if you took like a normal Motorola, you might be able to reach top to bottom of the mountain. Maybe. Rocky Talkies, it was like...
Oh, yeah, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter where you were or what you were behind or down and low in a valley or it really didn't matter.
Yep. No. And they're cool because it comes with a little carabiner so you can clip it and you're not going to lose it anywhere.
Yeah.
They do offer the handheld mic, which are borrowed ones that we'll be using this year will have the handheld mic on them.
Yeah.
And for Doug and I, that's a big thing because we're usually on a UTV or a quad or something, and the radios were a little lower, so we couldn't always hear when somebody was calling us.
Yeah.
So we'll have the mic this year that's up a little bit closer to our ear.
Yep. And you know what else is crazy about those Rocky Talkies? The battery life.
Yeah. We used them for 4 days almost.
And never charged them.
Nope.
So, and all day.
All day.
From
4 in the morning, 5 in the morning until 5, 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah. All day long. And we never charged them once. So
and I think
pretty awesome.
I think there was only one that it was like at a single bar left.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had 8 radios last year, right? 6 or 8, something like that.
Probably 6.
6. Yeah.
No, either way. Yeah,
I know we have 8 coming this year. So it was probably 6 last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's huge, especially if you're out on an elk hunt somewhere.
Yeah.
Or, anything you're doing in the backcountry.
Yeah.
To have the ability to reach and talk to people when you don't have cell phone service or it's, spotty service.
Yeah.
Or, in that kit, like I said, a Motorola system, which is what most people always use for hunting.
Right.
These things will reach no problem.
Yeah. And, you know, if you're conservative with the batteries, I mean, you could get
probably a whole week out of them.
Oh, definitely. You know, if we got 4 days of constant use, you'll get all week, no doubt.
Yeah.
10 days possibly.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's key. So, great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have gas bowstrings.
Yeah, Eric's sending a bunch of strings, right?
Yep. So we got they're not string sets. It's like a gift card. You go on and onto the gas website and order whatever you have for your bow.
Yep.
We have certificates for Spartan Forge.
Yep.
I think it's 3 memberships that they're giving away, premium memberships. So you'll get everything, which is awesome. I'm trying to think of what I stuck up on that. So Easton is actually doing something out of our booth. So because they have a lot going on, they're a big company and they're based out of Utah. They couldn't just like ship stuff in and have somebody here. So the rep, Gus, who's our actual rep at the shop, he's going to be up and working out of our booth. And it will be a deal of where if you buy a dozen arrows at the shoot, you're going to get something for free. I want to say it's an arrow box or like the adjustable arrow tubes.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on that. I'm waiting for finalization. But there will be something there. I'm trying to think of what else I put up on the shelf in the shop.
There's a lot of stuff on that shelf.
There is. I know Numa's giving some stuff away. Mamba's giving stuff away. So you have arrows from Mamba. It'll probably be like a jacket or vest or something from Numa.
Yep.
Nebu Summit, which is a hiking paint company, which I think we actually forgot to mention last year. So I apologize to Nate and Chris. So those guys they signed on like middle of January. They're based out west, but both of them are flying in. And they will have a dressing room attached to their tent.
Oh, cool.
So you can try all their pants on, and they're super comfortable, especially for hiking or scouting, that type of deal.
Yeah.
We have, this one just came in the other day. A good friend of mine, Ronnie Kivachi, who actually was a pitcher in the Major League Baseball, or Major League, I don't know how I want to say that. I could see how I want to say it, but it doesn't want to come out right. He pitched in the majors. Let's put it that way. So he's a Scranton boy and huge outdoorsman, hunts out in Illinois every year. He's got a big lease out there and is also now, besides being a baseball coach for, high school kids and younger kids, he's a fly fishing guide in the Delaware. So he has given up a $600 2-person trip on the Delaware, and you can choose between trout, which would be like spring, fall,
right?
Bass in the summertime, or winter walleye. And like if you follow him, it's Kiavachi Expo on Instagram. You can see all the pictures that he's putting up. He's got his own drift boat and usually floats like the West Branch and the main stem. So he's going to put you on some fish for sure.
Yeah.
So it is fly fishing. I'm sure he has equipment if you don't have fly fishing gear, but he won't be at the shoot because that's a busy time of the year for them. It's, middle of spring. So, but we will get you in contact if whoever the winner is. And most of the prizes, these bigger prizes, are going to be part of the novelty shots. Last year, again, because of the way everything was set up, we were very limited on what we could do. This year is a little different.
Yeah.
So we'll have stuff from the shop. We'll have some of the other vendors are doing stuff that we won't know until we get there what their plan is.
Yeah.
But I know PSE is sending some stuff. Elite is sending some stuff. Game Commission's coming. I'm sure they'll have a whole bunch of stuff to hand out.
Yep.
And then I don't want to say the smaller stuff because it's not really small stuff. It's just stuff that isn't really a novelty shop prize. At the after party, we will chuck some stuff out like we did last year.
Yeah, I threw a ton of stuff out last year.
Yeah. Doug and those guys walked around with like shopping bags.
Yes.
Looked like Santa Claus walking around.
Dumping stuff on table.
Yep.
Here you go. Have at it.
Yep.
So,
and we'll have more of that stuff. We'll actually have a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I think Whitetail Institute, right?
Oh yeah, Claire will be there. Claire's got some
giveaways,
some food plot seed and minerals.
Yeah.
The new one that we met him yesterday, Brad.
Oh yeah,
from Hillside Engraving.
Yep.
So he's actually doing our new High Tines hats. Guy's got a killer business going.
Yeah.
He's local and I just actually talked to him before I got here, and he's hoping to be there. If not, our hats will definitely be there because we'll have them in our booth. But he can engrave just about anything.
Yeah.
To an extent. There are size limits, obviously.
Yes.
And Doug and I talked to him for a little bit yesterday, and he's got some cool shit, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The little slate deals.
Yeah, little coasters, slate coasters. But you can give him a rock. You can give him like a 15-inch by 15-inch slab of bluestone or whatever, and he can take any picture and put it on that bluestone.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Saying it's really some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
He had some
cutting boards.
Yeah, cutting boards, but like the trail cam pics.
Yeah.
If you get a cool trail cam pic and you want to save it forever, he can engrave it on whatever you want, piece of wood or,
and that's
piece of stone.
It was funny because we didn't, I'd never met Brad prior to yesterday, and Doug's like, look at this pic.
Yeah.
And I knew whose pic it was. It turns out he's pretty good friends with Russ Leixner, who's out in Western Pennsylvania. He runs some of the best trail cams I've ever seen. Just cool stuff. And that one was the eagle, right?
Yes.
The eagle pulling on top of the log crossing.
Yes. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're hoping Brad can make it. If not, you'll see his work because all 3 of our new hats will be done by him.
Yep.
And they are all Richardsons, and they will be patch caps. So we'll have 3 different patches. So looking forward to. He actually sent me. He might actually be texting me right now. Yeah. Oh, and hey, I literally just got this message. High Mountain Archery down in Freeland.
Yep.
3D course is open.
Oh, cool.
So if you've never been to High Mountain Archery and you're local in Northeastern PA, run down and see these guys. They got a cool 30 target course.
Yeah.
They are sponsoring our truck shoot. So that's where the target comes from. Once the truck shoot is done on Sunday, we take the target down, they load it into one of their trucks and take it home. They'll be at the shoot.
Yep.
You can sign up for a membership, and I'm just replying to him. But
and the membership is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
For what you get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the exact number, but it's $100.
It's sub 100 if I'm not.
You get to shoot basically 24/7 because you can get access.
Mm-hmm.
There's 24-hour access to the place. So even if you can't shoot the 3D course during, in the evening, you can go there and go into the indoor range.
Yep.
And you can shoot inside anytime you want.
And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, they actually have a couple 3D targets they leave indoor.
They probably do.
That you can shoot, inside.
I never shot indoors there. I mean, I've shot the outdoor course, obviously.
Yeah, I've never shot in the clubhouse, but I've been in the clubhouse for meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I was getting at was, let's see here. Yeah. The Brad over at Hillside sent me, he did a couple samples of our logo on a couple of the different patches that we were looking at and sent them to me.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. But so before we break into the next topic, which is a topic, if you're an archer, everybody should know how to do this to an extent.
Yep.
Do it correctly because it can mess a lot of things up.
Yeah, it's pretty important.
So we're going to break this segment down into like the next 4 episodes, probably 20, 30 minutes a piece, I guess.
Right.
So tuning, archery tuning.
Yep.
It dumbfounds some people. There's people that try to do old school stuff with new school bows and it doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
So give me your thoughts first, Doug, because obviously I do it, Doug does it here on his bows. I do it on an almost daily basis at the shop. So I'm sure we do a couple things differently.
Probably.
But
we end up at the same spot, though. Yeah. We all have a perfectly tuned bow.
Right.
Whether you get there A, B, C, or CBA, you're still getting to the same point. So I probably do a little more old school. I don't know. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But
no, not as old school as some of the stuff I see. It might not be 100% up to speed, but you're 98% there.
Yeah. Yeah. But I always start with manufacturer specs.
Right.
So I'll set that rest center of the burger, holes, 13 16ths or 7/8, depends on which manufacturer it is, but typically they're 13 16ths. I'll set my rest there, square off my D-loop, so everything's perfectly level, and I'll shoot from there. Now, a lot of guys aren't, but I'm a big believer in paper tuning.
Yeah.
So, and I will bear shaft. Now, some guys don't agree with that. they say, well, I don't hunt without vanes on my arrow, so why would I
Right.
tune my bow that way? My thinking is, if the bow is shooting that bear shaft perfectly,
Right.
it's going to shoot vanes perfectly. So
Yeah.
what it does is just eliminates the vanes from correcting any of the deficiencies in your tune.
Right.
So that's my theory.
Yep. 100%.
I could be wrong, could be right. I don't know that, but that's my theory, is that I want that thing to shoot perfect. And after I add my vanes to it, that's just a bonus.
Right.
For the longer distance.
Because a vane is specifically on an arrow to help steer it.
Yep.
It's not there for any other purposes except to steer the arrow.
Yes.
So if you have a bear shaft that shoots perfectly straight, all that vane is then going to do is make it spin faster.
Yep.
So, which I've always been a huge proponent, and I'm still a huge proponent. We don't do anything left helical in the shop. But I took those parallel pros that I made for your bow for yesterday and put left helical on them.
Yeah.
Just because I knew what the arrow was and I knew which way it was going to want to spin.
Right.
And because I knew there was going to be wind, I wanted it to spin faster so that I wouldn't have issues with wind.
Right.
But so what Doug was getting at is pretty basic. So the first thing, if you're doing this by yourself, the first thing you're going to look for is your center shot, which is your manufacturer spec. It's going to tell you how far away from the riser and how high off the shelf it needs to be in order to be center shot.
Right.
And that's hopefully going to give you a perfect tear in the paper.
Yes.
Now,
that's your starting point.
Right.
So
that's a starting point.
Not etched in stone.
No.
Just because the manufacturer says set that rest at 13/16 center shot might not be.
Right. So
that's where they start.
Right. And so I'll use Athens as an example because we sold a lot of them. Athens always liked to be an 1/8 inch high at the nock.
Okay.
It's just the way that it was. It never said that in the book.
Right.
But every bow that we've ever tuned that was an Athens was an 1/8 inch nock high.
Okay.
But so those specs, now when they shoot that bow at those specs and say this is the center shot, this is where it should tune at, it's out of basically a vice. It's not a person holding the bow.
Right.
So there's no torque in it. There's no anything, no bias.
Right.
That arrow leaves the bow.
Perfect conditions.
So now let's insert human movement, grip, muscle movement, all this stuff into that. And so this is the first thing before we even go even a little too far, is if you're going to paper tune your bow, you need to shoot it through the paper, not somebody else.
Not the bow tech at the shop.
Right.
You have to do it.
Correct. So Doug and I do not hold a bow the same way. I can guarantee it.
Right.
Aaron and I do not hold a bow the same way. I can guarantee it.
Right.
So I know by the way I shoot, and if a customer comes in the shop, they'll ask me, do you tune the bow? I said, well, yes, we will tune it with you, but I am not going to shoot it through paper and tune it because you are not going to touch or grip that bow the same way I do.
Right.
So if I tune it for me and then somebody else grabs it and it shoots all kinds of wonky, it's because of that human touch.
Sure.
So that's important step number one.
Huge.
Yeah. So if you're going to get the bow paper tuner, you're going to paper tune it, make sure you are the one shooting through the paper.
Yes. And there is no wiggle room there. There's no way around that.
Nope.
So that's it. You have to actually shoot the bow. Now you can have the tech there doing the adjustments and stuff like that, but you've got to physically be there and physically shoot that bow, because it's not like a rifle where I can take and put on a bench and sight it in and hand it to somebody and they'll shoot.
Right.
Shoot it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just unique to you.
Yeah.
So,
and that's
very important.
Like Doug said, that's what we do at the shop. The customer comes back in. Okay, let's go. We shoot it through the paper. I'm standing there to make any adjustment that needs to be made, but I'm making it based on what I'm seeing from that person shooting it.
Yeah.
So the center shot is obviously very important. Now, do you use a bow square?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So there's something where Doug and I differ.
Yes.
We have 5 of them in the shop. I think I might have stuck it on 2 bows.
Yeah.
I do everything by eye when it comes to looking at the arrow, making sure it's level, checking. Now we just brought in the Hamsky arrow clamp with the levels on it, and it actually has 2 measurement adjustments. So you can unlock it and lock it to whether it's 13/16, 7/8, whatever the spec is from the factory, and it's clamped to the arrow. So you're actually moving the arrow to get it there.
Right.
And then you're going to lock it and make sure everything's level, and that'll get you close. I don't use it on every bow. So I do it by eye. Doug uses the square.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Doesn't matter whether you use it or don't, but you want to be as close to center as possible according to their specs.
Yeah. And actually, one more thing before we get too far into that, going backwards here a little bit, we should preface this by saying you must be using the proper arrow. So if you're shooting the wrong spine arrow, all of this that we're talking about is out the window. So you have to shoot the proper spine arrow.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, you're just wasting your time. So that's the first thing.
Correct. And we found that quite a bit. But we probably went like backwards around this circle. But so the other big thing is, so target bow or hunting bow, doesn't matter. The bow has to be tuned.
Yeah.
So right now we're talking about paper tuning, which is probably the easiest way to see a bad tune.
Yes.
But if a shop tells you that a bow doesn't have to be tuned, can you get away with it on a target bow and maybe not shooting it through paper? Probably, but I don't recommend it. And that's my opinion on that, on a target bow.
Well, here's the thing too. With a target bow, you're not talking about an animal's life.
Right.
Right. You owe it to that animal to kill it as cleanly and quickly as possible.
Correct.
When you hit it with an arrow that's going sideways, you're not going to do either.
No. And that's the difference there is obviously, you're practicing with your hunting bow. It has a field tip on it. Now you go and stick a broadhead on it, whether it's mechanical, a fixed blade, a single bevel, whatever. And you just added a whole bunch of funky crap to it.
Yeah.
That the arrow was not ready for. So the closer the tune is, the better that broadhead is going to fly. But if the tune is horrible and you whack a deer and the arrow hit it sideways, basically, if you're shooting, let's say, a four blade fixed, you just hit it with the side of the broadhead.
Yeah.
So you might have got some penetration, but it definitely didn't go in to do any damage.
No.
You wounded it. Now you're tracking a deer. So the other big proponent for me is, as a shop owner and as a tech, when we first opened, I had a kid come in and tell me that the shop he bought the bow from said a hunting bow never has to be tuned.
Nothing could be further from
the truth. I wanted to puke at first.
Yeah.
And I said, well, let's go, because he had already gave me the story. He missed a couple deer, blah, 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 blah. So I said, let's go check the paper. Now, my paper tuner at the shop is a big paper tuner.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of paper to it that you can visibly see and shoot through. He almost cut it in half. Like literally, the arrow laid across my paper and almost cut the whole thing right off.
And you know what? I'm laughing, but that's not funny.
No, it's not.
This guy is taking this thing in the woods and shooting it at an animal.
Right.
I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. I mean,
that's why he came in there, because he had already been in the woods with it and was like, I missed a deer at like 15 yards.
Well, thank God he missed it.
Right.
So.
But so the arrow, it was, I can remember, like I could see the picture in the paper. So he had a knock right tear. His tip was all the way to the left, and he had said he missed the deer to the left. So that makes sense. His arrow was tracking left. So hunting bow, 1,000%, no questions asked, that bow has to be tuned.
Yes.
With a target bow, you might be shooting into foam, you might be shooting just into paper. Can you get away with not paper tuning it? Yes. Do I recommend it? No.
Right.
Now, that's where, we have a lot of chitter chatter down at the shop, because we all shoot target at some point and we all grip a bow differently. So depending on how you grip a bow, you may not even be able to get a, target arrow to tune through paper.
Right.
Without doing some serious, work. Whether it's got a shim or you got to do this or do that. And a lot of that comes down to the way you grip a bow. I grip differently, Doug grips differently, and I'm going to use Aaron because Aaron shoots a target bow, aside from hunting season. I don't think there's a day he doesn't have a target bow in his hand.
Yeah.
And I can remember when he was shooting his Matthews bows, He had the TRX and like almost could never get it to tune because of the way he grips a bow. And it's not that he's gripping it bad, it's just the way he grips it.
Right.
But now he's shooting Super X and has no issues. He shims, but what a lot of target guys do is they call it walk back tuning, where they're going to shoot real close and continue back until you're at 20, and you're making an adjustment basically to the rest if need be, shim if it's really, really bad. But we're going to concentrate on the paper tuning aspect of it. But I just wanted to give you that, target bow. Can you get away without it? Yes. Do I recommend it? No.
Well, you're not hurting anybody but yourself.
Right.
You're just going to embarrass yourself on the course.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not talking about an animal that you're shooting it at. So if you don't want to tune it and you want to shoot like crap, that's on you. Whatever.
Right.
That's
your problem.
We see it all the time.
Yep. 100%.
Sometimes that's me. So that's okay. But when you are shooting it at an animal and you're trying to kill this animal, you owe it to that animal to, be as proficient as possible. And the only way to do that is to have a properly tuned bow.
Correct.
So,
and so with the paper tune, that's where, when I say old school, and I know Doug doesn't do this, and that's why I said he's not, old school that I'm talking about. We have a lot of bows that come in and somebody just moves the rest.
Yeah.
To make an adjustment. Now, if it's like barely a tear and you're going to move it, an 1/8 inch or less, not a huge deal. But I've seen bows come in where the arrow is like an inch off the shelf in the rest.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
That means you got some serious cam lean going on and it needs to be fixed.
Yes.
In the cam, that's where, we talk about the cam debacle and why those movable cams came about. But you have to realize some of the bows, APA for instance, Expedition, can you shim it? Yes, but they have the older yoke cable on it where there's no splitter. It's just the yoke cable up to the limbs.
Right.
And what you're going to do in that situation is you're going to twist that yoke cable so that it pulls on one limb more than the other.
Right.
To straighten the cam back up.
Right.
What you have to realize, you have to do it to the bottom if you did it to the top.
Sure.
So, because by doing it's still a cable. So if you're twisting or untwisting a cable, you're changing poundage, you're changing draw length, you're changing timing, you're changing a whole bunch of stuff by doing that.
Yes.
And that's why, again, all these new, cam movers came out to help reduce twisting and untwisting cables.
Right.
To straighten a cam and without having to put a bow in a press and take an axle apart and put a shim in.
And that's I think a lot of guys don't tune their bow because of that.
Right.
Not everybody has a press at their house or has a shop within an hour that they can get to. So it's tough. If you don't have access to a press, some of these bows you can't tune.
Right.
So that's why guys aren't tuning them because it's just not practical. Right. So as these manufacturers start to come up with ideas to make it a little bit easier where you can do it at home and the average guy with an Allen key can tune his bow, that's going to help all of us.
Yep.
Just, it'll just help the industry. So I think that's a factor too, is that guys probably, they'd love to have the bow tuned, but some guys just don't have the ability or the access to a shop to do it.
Right.
So,
and we do see that, like obviously Doug and I follow a lot of pages on Facebook and, my closest shop that can tune this is, 3 hours away or whatever. And, as a shop owner, that makes me kind of squeamish because it's like, man, where do you live that there is nobody with a press within 3 hours?
Right.
Now, granted, I'm not saying I'm not trying to toot my own horn. 2, but there are certain shops that you should not take a bow to be tuned to when they have no idea. And that's the downfall, is when you see certain shops, like a bow comes in that they said, oh, it was tuned, but now I can't do this or I can't do that.
Right. And your first question is, well, when it was tuned, did you shoot it?
Right.
No, they tuned it for me. I went and picked it up.
Literally just happened the other day.
So that wasn't tuned.
Yep. 3.5 hours to undo the, whatever was done for whoever shot it through the paper to get it back so that this guy had a tuned bow.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big issues I see is some of these bows. Now, I'm trying to think, out of the bows we carry, the only bow currently that I would have to shim in a press is a bear.
Right.
Everything else we have either has the new, like PSE has the new quick shims, they call them. So you need a press, but I don't take anything apart.
Right.
Elite has the set technology. So that's going to move your limb and limb pocket. And no, I guess APA. So APA would have to put in the press because I have to take the yoke off to twist it.
Yeah, you got to break it down.
But nothing where, aside from Bear, that I have to take an axle out. But now you look at, and I'm going to do this. You look at Matthews, okay, which, everybody loves Matthews. Lots of fanboys out there. Every single time you have to change cam lean, you have to figure out of that stupid pack of top hats.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this one. Nope, that wasn't it. Okay, let's take it apart again. And so, you're talking, if I really charged every person that I've had to change a top hat for, it's like $300 for every time I had to stick it in the press.
Right.
No, I don't do that, but, my labor rate is on the wall, and every time a bow goes into the press and blah, 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 blah. So
that sucks. Just
it does.
Put it all back together, shoot it. Oh, that didn't work.
That didn't work. Let's try again.
Yeah. But it sucks, but that's what you have to do.
Right.
If that's the bow you shoot, then you got to put the time in and the money to do it right. Now, the one good thing is if you don't change your setup, nothing's going to change.
No, exactly.
You do this once.
Yep.
But, if you're a lunatic like me and you change arrow weights constantly and always tweaking things, then you're going to have to change that tune.
Right.
And then, that's the other thing too. So every time you change something on that arrow, it's something as simple as changing a broadhead. You go from 100 grain to 125 grain. You got to retune that bow. It might not be drastic.
Right. Yeah.
But it won't shoot the same.
Something like that, like tip weight change. That's it. Yeah. Is it going to change the tune? Absolutely. But is it going to be like, holy crap?
No.
That's going to be minuscule. But when you go, because somebody sells you the wrong spine arrow.
Yes.
And you just can't get rid of a vertical tear or a left tear.
Yeah, you're chasing your tail because the arrow is not correct.
And then all of a sudden, now you got to buy a whole new set of arrows and poof, you're correct. That's a big deal. But for target shooters, that becomes a deal. If you only have one target bow and you're going to use it, indoor season, you're going to shoot your 27s or 25s or 23s. Okay, 3D, I'm going to shoot my 23 still, so that didn't change. But now I want to shoot outdoor field.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want a big fat arrow flying 80 yards down range. So you're going to set up a set of skinnies, as we call them. And now you've got all kinds of issues because you just changed a whole bunch.
Yes.
The arrow's usually heavier to drive through wind. It's going to be not sit in the same spot in the burger holes because it's heavier. Normally tip weights, spines are a lot different on a field arrow than they are on an indoor arrow.
Yeah.
So, there's a kabillion things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, okay, so one bow, every time you change an arrow, you have to fix something.
Yes.
Now, hunters don't see that as much unless you're like, oh, I want a little bit more grain. I want a little better FOC.
Right.
Then, you're going to be back to square one and we're going to retune.
Yeah.
But the like Doug said the other day, like it literally just happened. Guy came in and I said to him, were you the one that shot it through the paper? Oh, no. The guy at the shop said he shot it through. I'm like, well, okay, great. Now let's go figure it out. And in this case, it was like 3 hours. And it turned out his draw length was too long. So
but like way too long, you said.
Yeah, like an inch too long. And not what people don't realize with draw length is it's not the same length on everybody where it's like, Doug has shorter arms than me. He's shorter than me, but we both shoot 28.5.
Yeah.
The reason, can I shoot a 29? Sure. I have 77.5 inch wingspan, but because I like to tip my head down, kind of like when you shoot a rifle or a pistol, you want to be on the weapon. I do the same thing with a bow. I want to get my head down a little bit so it's on the string. But this poor guy was anchoring like on his cheekbone with the string.
Yeah.
And the way he choked up on putting everything in his upper body to make that happen, it looks right. But his peep is like 6 inches from his face.
Yeah.
So now he ran out of sight on a low shot, and the only way to adjust it is by bringing the peep up. Well, now the peep, he can't barely even see through it.
Yeah.
So that tune portion is important because in this case, it's a Matthews lift.
Yeah.
Okay, brand new Matthews. So now he needs mods, which he had to order and wait for.
Right.
And then we're going to have to retune the entire bow again because it's going to be an inch shorter draw length.
Yeah. So
that's the key is, yeah, there's shops that sell these bows or da-da-da-da, but the question is are they tuning them correctly?
Yeah. And that's what pisses me off is the shop should never let that bow out the door. Nope. The guy that bought that bow, he doesn't know any better.
Right.
He's just assuming, okay, the guy owns a shop, he must know what he's talking about.
Yep.
So let's go with it.
Yep.
It just pisses you off when guys are selling people bows. They spend a lot of money. You walk for a full setup. You're spending a couple $1,000.
But I mean, if you you didn't see this, but this was completely all done up.
Yeah.
But I even mentioned it to Doug so Matthews has their own version of the Hamskea Everest. Okay. And I don't know that there's a lot of difference aside from the logo, but one of the biggest things with Matthews bows is that slanted carbon roller guard bar that comes down and is right where your rest is.
Yep.
And that Everest has the big cage on it. So as we were trying to tune, the rest had to come up. And for me to do that, I would either had to take that cage off, which he didn't want to do. This is a hunting bow. He doesn't want the arrow to pop out while he's just walking through the woods or hanging in the tree stand.
Yeah, sure.
So there's just a lot that can go on. And Doug knows my deal at the shop. If I don't care what you bring in, and I tell this to everybody, I don't care if it's a Matthews, a Bowtech, whatever. If it's something like a Matthews or a particular Bowtech, I'm going to bust your chops. It's just what it is. It's just me. Get over it. I'm going to just bust on you. And this guy knows it because he's been telling me for 3 months that he was buying this bow and he was waiting for it. So I bust him every time he comes in the shop. But regardless of what bow it is, where it came from, even though I knew the draw length was wrong, everything else, we got it tuned. We got it relatively sighted in at 20 yards. Only for the fact I will not let a bow walk out of my shop if I had to touch it to fix something, to tune it, to whatever, until you're hitting paper at 20 yards. When he came in, the very first shot he took, he didn't even tell me that it was, the tech there shot it through paper.
Yeah.
He just shot it, and he was like 6 feet off paper to the left. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I was shooting it at 5 yards. I was hitting the bullseye at the other shop. I'm like, that's at 5 yards. Yeah. You can throw it from 5 yards and hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
Well, he told me it would be on at 20. Well, no, because it's not tuned for you. If it was tuned for you, there's a chance.
Yeah.
But so the basic rule of thumb for what we're going to now call tuning 101. So we'll start with 1, doesn't matter what kind of bow it is, needs to be tuned.
Yes.
2, you must shoot it through paper. You as the owner of the bow, not somebody else.
Yes.
What was 3? Center shot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, center shot, that's just a
start with the
point.
Specs. Right.
Yep.
Start with the specs.
Because listen, there's an engineer who's a lot smarter than you and I that designed that bow, and it's designed for that center shot.
Yeah.
So go with that. Trust that. And they're usually really close. But if you have to move your center shot, I'll say this, if you have to move your center shot more than 1/8 of an inch or 3/16, to me, that's an indication something else is wrong.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there's an engineer who designed that bow. It's made for that center shot.
Right.
If you have to move it 1/4 of an inch, something is wrong.
Yeah.
So you start back at 0 and go through it again, because center shot is not always exact, but it's really close.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if you can put your arrow in your rest and you have to move it so much that when you look down the arrow that it's no longer lined up with the stabilizer on the front of the bow.
Yeah.
Even if it's a hunting bow, 7-inch stabilizer, 8-inch, 10-inch, whatever it is. If you can visibly look at it and go, wow, that arrow is like way to the right or way to the left, there's something wrong.
Right. But now I will say this though, I have seen bows where the stabilizer is off.
Oh yeah.
When they mount the insert, with the threads,
right.
If it's not perfect in the riser, it's going to kick that stabilizer off. So, but yes, go with the specs and, adjust from there. But if you've got to move it, like I said, that much, something is wrong. Something else is going on. So yeah, that's where you start.
100%. So next week we'll get into kind of the, the tears. What are the tears and why are they there?
Yeah.
And kind of give you the background to it. And it gives you a starting point that if you're at home and you do have a press or you have a paper tuner, you can at least get a little bit more understanding of what that tear is telling you, rather than just going, oh, well, I got to go this way or I got to go that way. Why do you have to do that?
Right.
And that's where, again, human response to the bow, arrow selection, all that stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
And again, it's a hunting bow, 1,000%. Target bow, can you get away without it? Mm-hmm. But do we recommend it? No.
No.
So we'll leave you with that. That was the basics, the real nitty gritty of the tune and why you should be tuning.
Yeah.
And we'll delve into a whole bunch of stuff, because I'm gonna tell you a story in the next episode of something Doug just brought up with a bow that I shot a couple years ago for IBO Worlds, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Other than that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And there is no video this week. And unfortunately, last week we had a small camera malfunction. Doug forgot to push the button.
No, I didn't forget to. I pushed it. It didn't work.
So we had a camera malfunction. So there was no video on the Mamba arrows or on the PSE Evolve. So we will film that again next week.
Which sucks because we blew up arrows for no reason.
Yes. 3 of them to be exact.
Yeah. Well, and one of my victories.
Yeah. So we will do that again next weekend, and we'll get that up on the YouTube page. So we apologize for that. Other than that, stay tuned. Check us out on social media. If you have not signed up for Archery Fest at Montage Mountain, now is the time to do it.
Yep.
30-something days away. You don't want to miss it. It's by far the premier, and I'm not just saying it because we run it. It is by far the premier 3D shoot in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And as our friends Jeremy and Jim from over at Antlered Up said today when I shared it, in all of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So please come hang out with us. We'd love to have you. And until next week, we will talk to you soon.
Yep. See you.